So, pursuant to what I did the week before involving the Cosby case and my interactions with Salty Thoughts on Twitter, there was one more little back and forth I had that I felt needed to be brought up. It was with this little darling who I had the misfortune of dealing with. The conversation went on for a bit, but basically this is what everything he said boiled down to once I whittled him down past all of the doublespeak. A bunch of people accused him, so there must be something there. This is something that comes up a lot, and mostly by people who have very little memory or concern for past events. Now, one could go the easy route and point out that this reasoning works just as well the other way too. I mean, if 60 people are all accusing him of the same thing, there should first off be evidence of some kind for something, right? But more importantly, also everyone who knows Cosby has consistently said that there is no way he could do these things. Everyone from friends and family to co-stars from the shows he's worked for in the past. So, by extension, if all of these people are saying he didn't do anything, then obviously he didn't do anything. Correct? Of course, my shitty logic trumps all other shitty logic. Naturally. Don't even know why I brought this up, really. So, here's the thing that I think needs to be pointed out about this line of reasoning. Besides the aforementioned shitty logic, that is. This idea that where there's the proverbial smoke, there is necessarily the proverbial fire. Now, at first I was going to go with the more famous and obvious example of the Salem witch trials, but then I figured, let's go more obscure and contemporary. So, I would like to mention the infamous Mcmartin trials, which you young'uns have probably never heard of, but was a big thing in my younger days, being the longest and most expensive trial in American history. Now, to understand this, you first have to understand the concept of moral panics, and specifically the Satanic ritual abuse panic. A moral panic, simply put, is a widespread feeling of fear that something, usually something very irrational, threatens the well-being, values, or interests of a society or community. Usually it's perpetrated and exacerbated by the media and various politicians. Sometimes in a moral panic the issues are real, but the seriousness, harm, and the typicality are greatly overblown or exaggerated. Cough, me too, cough. Now, the infamous Satanic panic got kicked off in the early 80s, with the publication of a book called Michelle Remembers, written by a psychotherapist who used recovered memory therapy, or RMT, to recover memories from one of his patients, detailing her long childhood history of sexual abuse by satanic cults. The book claimed a wide underground network of devil-worshipping cults existed which were using, abusing, and murdering kids in bizarre rituals all around the world. Naturally, although this was presented as a completely factual in the book, none of its claims were ever proven in real life. Michelle Remembers provided a model for numerous allegations of satanic ritual abuse that ensued later in the same decade. On the basis of the book's success, the author developed a high media profile, gave lectures and training on satanic ritual abuse to law enforcement, and by September 1990 had acted as a consultant on more than 1,000 cases, including the Mcmartin Trial. Prosecutors used Michelle Remembers as a guide when preparing cases against alleged Satanists. Michelle Remembers, along with other accounts portrayed as survivor stories, are suspected to have influenced later allegations of ritual abuse. The book sparked off this intense panic that, in some ways, is still going on today about dark cults and brought together many different groups and organizations that would otherwise have never worked together, all to hunt down the boogeyman under the bed that was attacking our child folk. Testimonials, symptoms lists, rumors, and techniques to investigate or uncover memories of satanic ritual abuse were disseminated through professional, popular, and religious conferences, as well as through talk shows, sustaining and further spreading the moral panic throughout the United States and beyond. In some cases, allegations resulted in criminal trials with varying results. All told, there were over 12,000 accusations nationwide of widespread cultic sexual abuses involving satanic ritual, but investigating police were not able to substantiate any allegations of organized cult abuse.
You're letting them go?
There's no evidence to warrant an arrest.
They never leave evidence.
We heard how Jerry Stevens was killed. An occult ritual.
They've reached into our area from the outside.
They again.
Those 3 kids are obviously under occult influence.
They reach into our children. In music, television, books.
They prey on children's innocence.
The FBI recently concluded a 7-year study and found little or no evidence of the existence of occult conspiracies.
And J. Edgar Hoover never admitted to the existence of the mafia.
Look, if the number of murders attributed to occult conspiracies were true, it would mean thousands of people killing tens of thousands of people a year without evidence, without being exposed. It would be the greatest criminal conspiracy in the history of civilization.
Finally, you people understand what we're up against.
Now, as I said, I'm going to focus on the Mcmartin Trial specifically, so let's get to it. The Mcmartin Trial actually did a lot to cause the Satanic Panic to last in the mainstream as long as it did, with its presence in the news taking up so many years. So the year is 1983, and the Mcmartin family was running a daycare in Los Angeles. One day, Judy Johnson, the mother of a son who was one of the children that attended said daycare, went to police and told them that her son had been sodomized by her ex-husband and one of the teachers at the school, Ray Buckey. She came to this conclusion after noticing that her son had developed bowel problems, which she blamed on the sodomy. Because obviously. Johnson also made other claims of the staff at the daycare as well, saying that Administrator Peggy Mcmartin had drilled the child under the arm and that Ray Buckey had flown in the air. Yeah, it should probably be mentioned that Judy was later diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Now, the police interviewed Buckey but did not pursue the investigation or press charges due to a lack of evidence. They did, however, send out a letter to over 200 parents who also had their children at the school. And here's where the fuck hits the fan. Apart from outright telling the parents that there had been allegations made against Buckey and the school, the letter also encouraged parents to talk to their kids and question them if they had ever witnessed anything. The letter included such things as, well, take a look. The acts include oral sex, fondling of genitals, buttock or chest area, and sodomy, possibly committed under the pretense of taking the child's temperature. Also, photos may have been taken of children without their clothing. Any information from your child regarding having ever observed Ray Buckey to leave a classroom alone with a child during any nap period, or if they have ever observed Ray Buckey tie up a child, is important. The letter concluded by asking parents to please keep this investigation strictly confidential because of the nature of the charges and the highly emotional effect it could have on our community. Please do not discuss this investigation with anyone outside your immediate family. Yeah, guess how well that went. So, okay, picture this for a moment. You're the parent of a young child, and suddenly you find out that the police are investigating his or her daycare for a vague set of possible sex crimes committed by a vague number of people for vague reasons, but that it might have to do with, murder, death, and, satanic sodomy. Yeah, this may shock you to hear, but people flipped their collective shit. Keep in mind that Judy, the woman who had made the initial allegations that were being investigated, was also insisting that Peggy Mcmartin had taken her son to a satanic ritual where he was made to watch a baby being beheaded, that Ray had sodomized her son while his head was stuck in a toilet, and that Ray pranced around in a cape and a Santa Claus costume while other teachers chopped up rabbits and placed some sort of star on her son's bottom. This one set of claims, coming from a psycho chick, which should have gone completely ignored, instead sparked up new accusations from other parents and panicked cries of a full-scale investigation. Eventually, the state bowed to the massive pressure and handed much of the investigation of the case over to Key McFarland, a consultant for the Children's Institute International. So now the activists were involved. Parents were encouraged to send their children to the CII to be interviewed by McFarland, who spoke to over 400 children, asking them a series of leading questions and the offer of rewards based on their answers. You can see a transcript of one of their interviews down below, All of the interviews that I read basically tended to follow a similar pattern. At first, the child would deny what the interviewer was saying, or not even know what they were referring to. But eventually, many children came around and gave the stories that the interviewer obviously wanted to hear. In one of the interviews I read, McFarlane outright called one 8-year-old boy dumb when his version of events didn't match the ones she wanted to hear. With these firmly in hand as evidence, McFarlane went back to the parents, told them their children had been abused, and by March of the next year, there were now 384 diagnoses of sexual assault in the case. 150 children also received medical exams by a Dr. Astrid Hager, who also worked with the CII. She concluded that 80% of the children she looked at had been molested. Thing is, she based her findings on no physical evidence, but on medical histories and her belief that, quote, any conclusion should validate the child's history. And later medical examiners who actually looked at the children said that they found no physical signs that pointed to sexual or physical abuse. On March 22, 1984, a grand jury indicted Ray Bucky, Peggy Bucky, Ray's mother, Peggy Ann Bucky, Ray's sister, Virginia Mcmartin, founder of the preschool 30 years earlier, and 3 other Mcmartin teachers, Mary Ann Jackson, Betty Rader, and Babette Spittler. The grand jury initially indicted the, quote, Mcmartin 7 on 115 counts of child sexual abuse. 2 months later, an additional 99 indictment counts were added as District Attorney Robert Philibosian pursued his strategy of hyping the Mcmartin case to boost his chances in an upcoming primary election. In June, bail for Peggy Bucky was set at $1 million. Ray Bucky was held without bail. I would be here for hours if I actually tried to give a full breakdown of the Mcmartin trial. As I said, it's the longest running trial in U.S. history. Everything from start to finish took about 7 years. And not a single conviction ever came of it. Nothing was proven. But consider this for a moment. All of this, the 7-year trial, the $12 million to have it, the ruination of the lives of 7 innocent accused and their families, not to mention the ruined lives of an unimaginable number of children who not only had to go through the trial, but were mind-fucked into believing they were betrayed and abused by their caretakers, all the trauma that there implies, all of the wasted time in the criminal justice system where actual crimes with actual proof could have been tried, and all of this came about just because of one crazy bitch who made an allegation. This is what people like Dumbass here don't understand about things like this. They are not new or unheard of, or even all that rare. We do this kind of shit all the time. That is why we investigate and presume innocence first. Always. Because we are a stupid, irrational, vindictive species of barely functioning monkeys who are only 1 or 2 steps away from still flinging feces at each other. And people like this are the ones who want to drag us even further back into the monkey pool. Anyways, I'm done here. I'll sail out.